So this is me. I'm Mike Salura. So you've hitchhiked across Africa with 10 bucks in your pocket. Starting a business doesn't seem too intimidating. So many things, right, come out of traveling abroad and putting yourself out of your comfort zone. I think, many people around the world would say the same thing. Once you start putting yourself out of your comfort zone, some of the other things in life come a little bit easier. But, our family has traveled all over the world and has come up in many different countries. And it's kind of what's shaped us. So a little bit about our foundation, just to kind of run through this quickly. We have a large group of resources and experts that we believe that we can give to help students. So these are the foundation objectives, and a little bit about who we are. A couple other things that we do: resource and information, through the process, when it's not just about financing and giving people an opportunity and partnering with Global Glimpse. It's about providing education, leadership, travel, and culture. Grief and mourning. We know that a lot of the students that we serve have been through difficult times. And we know a lot of people out there have been through difficult times. And sometimes these adventures and these things are sparked by that. And so we definitely have a sensitivity to that, and we have resource and availability to that. So it's one of the things that we try to provide for our group. All right, now we are going to hand it over to the Global Glimpse team. So it's an exciting part. We're going to get to hear from the students. We're going to get to hear from Global Glimpse and hear about the trip. And that's really what this event for us is about.
So what's up, y'all? Good to see everybody again. Probably most of you know me, but Brent Nichols, Senior Director of U.S. Programs, full-time GG staff member, and just one of the two people super fortunate enough to be able to lead this trip. And I'll just say again, thank you so much, Mike, Dinasha, the whole Live Like Leo Foundation and team for making this possible. I think this was a special part of our trip, and we're still continuing to get kind of extra bonuses from this, even from this event. And just a little bit about Global Glimpse. Remember, Global Glimpse is a nonprofit that really focuses on accessibility and diversity. So one of the beautiful things about you all, this student group, was I think the diverse group of students we had. When I reflected on the trip, kind of the week coming out of it, that I was telling everybody that I knew was how nice you all were as a student group. I think I told you all this in person as well, but as I reflected on the trip, I could not think of a single time that someone was mean or rude to someone else on the trip, or someone we met in Costa Rica. Actually tapped two of you to be sort of leaders of the day. So on every Global Glimpse trip, on every day, we have two leaders of the day that essentially are in charge of leading the group through the day, stepping up as speakers, thanking locals, things like that. So I've chosen Camila and Isa actually to be our leaders of the day a little bit. So they've actually prepared a couple words to kind of share longer speeches for y'all, but then I want to try to get as many voices as we can out afterwards. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first leader of the day, guest speaker. You all know her. She's from Hayward. She went to Impact Academy and just now is a seasoned UC Berkeley Golden Bear. I think 3 weeks into it. And Camila is actually a math major, generally math major at UC Berkeley. And I think, Camila, I remember this, we had a long walk on the beach where you were talking about how you wanted to be a surgeon in the future. So no small goal there, but without further ado, Camila, would you take it away?
So hi, everyone. It's so nice to see all of your guys' faces. First, I want to start by thanking Mike and Dinasha for having us today and for, again, partnering with Global Glimpse, because especially for our delegation, besides the little gifts that you guys give us, everyone in my delegation, I think, is so lucky to have gone on the trip partnering with you guys, because we went on the trip with Leo's spirit in mind, and learning at first how Leo lived so full of curiosity and had so much courage and an adventurous spirit really made a difference in our trip, because we were trying to embody those things, and we gained much more otherwise than if we hadn't. And I also want to thank Stephanie and Mr. Brent for being amazing trip leaders. You guys were great. You guys are really empathetic, and so I really appreciate that. And then finally, I want to thank everyone in Costa Rica and everyone who made the trip possible. Just thank you. One thing that I'll never forget is the camaraderie of our group. I learned something new and was inspired by each and every one of you guys, my peers. You guys just made me really happy, and you guys were all so nice. And I think that the connections that we made only because, you you can only make those type of connections in really special circumstances. And I think it's everything that we went through together, like, seeing the monkeys and going through the rainforest and the thunderstorms. It just bonded us. And I'm really grateful that we were vulnerable with each other. And, I'm grateful that I could trust you guys enough to be vulnerable. You guys made me feel like I could share my stories with you, and, nobody judged me for trying to speak Spanish. Yeah, so for that, I'm really grateful. And I also want to say that having already started my college classes, I can see the impacts of this on me. I'm more confident in myself, and I'm more willing to take criticism, and I'm more empathetic with everyone I talk to, and that's because of you guys. And another thing that I learned from the trip is that I realized you don't get much out of staying comfortable. I think that was a big thing. I missed my family, and I missed my phone a little bit during the trip. But yeah, if I had those things on me, I would have been so distracted, and I would have missed like this little details because I would have been trying to like Snapchat it or something, and I would have been trying to like, I don't know, tell my brother like, look at that. And so yeah, we saw like frogs that looked like they were wearing jeans, and so that was really funny, and I think I would have missed that. And also just the beauty of the rainforest too. I could really focus on that. Everyone could, because nobody had it. In order to really like promote unity and connect yourself with the new community that you're going to, you have to like be willing to sacrifice things and just immerse yourself in that culture. Yeah, another thing that I learned again, or that I like saw in Costa Rica, was passion. So we met in the reserve, we met a lot of people from outside the country, like Chile and Hungary, who all came to that reserve living in those conditions where, like you had no electricity after 4, and something I'm not used to, but and they would wake up in the middle of the night to like, help the baby turtles out of their eggs and put them in the beach. And so when I saw this dedication, I was so inspired. And yeah, it really amazed me. And so I hope that I can live the rest of my life trying to, or being as dedicated to something that I care about like they were. So yes, that's all I have to say for now. And so I hope everyone's being safe, and I hope that we all can travel again soon. And I know that whenever all of us travel again, we will be thinking about our Costa Rica trip and Leo's spirit as well. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Camila. Wow, making it look easy. It's not easy to speak sort of an event like this too virtually. So next student leader of the day here, also new first year Golden Bear, UC Berkeley. Isa is from Pittsburgh, California, Pittsburgh High School. She is an integrative bio major at UC Berkeley, undecided on her career path. And Isa likes to be, I think you want to be introduced this way, as the hype man of the group. So yeah, let's give it up for Isa Naharo.
Hi guys, I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. I miss you guys a lot. I just want to say that I know that we've all had to face like the hardships of closing chapters since we've all gone on our trip together in Costa Rica, but we've also had been pushed outside of our comfort zones to explore and open new ones. And while I have not had the pleasure to wake up next to you guys in a tropical rainforest, 6 a.m. for days on end in a while, I can't tell you guys how proud I am of all of you guys. As we all know, our trip together was unlike any other Global Glimpse trip before us. Not only did we have the honor of carrying Leo's spirit in everything that we did, everything that we encountered around us, we're also fortunate enough to bring forth this spirit home with us. Through our growing transitions from what may take the forms of high school to college, or from work to even more strenuous work, we've been carrying through all that his spirit has taught us. For me specifically, I've been working hard to remember the many themes I learned from what Leo's legacy is going to embody. In my transitions to Berkeley, I've been forced to do something that frightens me greatly: talk to people. It may not seem like that after having spent 9 days energy-packed of hearing my spontaneous "yeah" or talking to people, but talking to people is usually something I overthink greatly. After having experienced what I did with all of you, though, I've learned to embrace the uncomfortable feeling and do all that's in my power to relax and just try and be myself. The biggest thing I want you guys to take away after hearing my voice right now, whether this be for the last time in a while for the last time in like 5 minutes, is that I couldn't be more grateful for our delegation and all the things we've grown from and continue to prosper in. Seeing all of you guys out there for who you are and finding the beauty in everything around us, but also in each other, I just can't say thank you enough. I miss you guys more than I can say with words. And
that was beautifully said, Issa. And I kind of alluded to, anytime on the trip that you feel a little low energy, you need just a little bit of a fire up. 7 a.m., you got a long bus ride ahead of you. Issa was there to give you a yeah. So if you could all take yourself off mute right now, and on the count of 3, we're all going to give an Issa yeah, okay? So ready, 1, 2, 3, unmute your
yeah.
Awesome, Issa. Also, Issa was there to lead us with bus sing-alongs, Bruno Mars being, I think, the key there. So just, again, I miss all of you deeply and want to kind of hear from everybody if we can. So I know it's always tough in these situations virtually and stuff, but I have a couple different prompts for y'all. And I want to kind of do a little bit of a tag you're it, so that basically you answer a question and can tag another person on the delegation that you want to answer one of these prompts, all right? So you've heard from me enough. So Jaden, the reason that I want to tag you is one thing that still makes me smile, man. One of the great things on the trip, I still think about the night hike that we all did in Pakuate Reserve. And just for people that didn't get to experience this, you're in this beautiful rainforest and there's all kinds of sounds, crazy insects and spiders and birds and stuff during the day. And then you go on the night hike and they tell you to bring flashlights with you. And there's like 5 times as many animals and stuff that you see at night than you do during the day, which is a shocking thing. So me and Jaden, I feel, had a little bonding experience because we kind of enjoyed this night hike together, which was the least relaxing hike on the face of the earth. So Jaden, it still brings a smile to my face when I think about this. I want to just tag, if you could relive our experience together on that night hike as the thing that makes, I think, hopefully both of us smile, that'd be great.
Hello, everyone. Yes, that is probably the top thing that makes me smile the most when I think about it. Something I probably will carry on for the rest of my life, seeing that many bugs and being outside my comfort zone and something, it still blows my mind. Just as soon as we got there to the first location, just seeing that huge spider in the shower and just like that being in the opening thing of, you know, it started. So that was that puts a smile on my face. So that's what I'll say. Haley.
Hello, my name is Haley, as Jaden said, and I'm about to start UC Davis. One of my favorite moments was actually like the last night when Olivia and Yahira and I were trying to close each other's suitcases, and it just, like, that moment makes me so happy because I was also pretty panicked during that moment because we had just gotten our COVID test and I was like, oh, what if I don't go home? But it was a blast. And I was just talking to my mom about how fun that was when I was trying to pack my stuff up for UC Davis. It reminded me like of that moment, which brought a smile. Let's see, Issa.
That makes you smile. Okay. I think anytime that I would see Haley, I would just smile. Like, I would just start smiling. And then, like, she'll start talking, and, like, I don't know, it's just every time that she talks, you feel really engaged. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't matter, like, literally, like, on the first days, too, because she was my roommate in our little room for the first night. I literally already felt engaged and, like, I already talked to you, you know what I mean? I felt comfortable already. So I want to thank you, Haley. I'm going to pass it on to Nick.
Yo, all right. Yeah, hi, I'm Nick. I'm going to UCLA. I'm actually in the middle of packing and I'm heading down tomorrow, so starting pretty soon. And I'm gonna go off of the, what was it, most powerful person I met on the trip. I mean, all of you were amazing, so it's kind of hard to choose one person, but I'm gonna say Juanca. He was just awesome and like hilarious at all times. He was just constantly making funny jokes, and oh my goodness, you could never tell if he was sarcastic or not, but it was really good. I really enjoyed being around him, and I was just so glad to have him as a leader on our trip. He was one of the EPI instructors. And I will tag Ari.
Something that makes me smile. Okay, that's like a lot of things. I was thinking about this earlier. I feel like I can look at one of you guys and then I can think of something different for like every single person. Like Nick, I remember like, well, every time we would say happy birthday. We said that a lot. And then when we were planning out our leader of the day agenda, when we were like cracking up. And then for Jaden, like every time we would mention the monkeys, how he was gonna run away. Or Ileana and me killing like all the spiders in our room.
and Vale, when we were like going on our night hike in Timberina, and we heard this discotheque nearby, and we were like cracking up, and we were like, let's go to the party. We were like dancing in the middle of the thing, and then to tell us to quit laughing, which was really funny. So yeah, like, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff. Or like for everyone, I think one of my like best memories is when we went to Michael's house, because we were just all like dancing and like cracking up, and it was really fun. So yeah, I'm going to call, oh wait, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Ariana, I'm at UC Berkeley right now. And yeah, I'm gonna call on my roomie, Ileana, the resident abuelita.
Hi, I'm Eliana. I go to San Francisco State, but I'm staying at home because dorms are too expensive. But before I start, I miss you guys. I miss like waking up and just, annoying Nick with the amount of good mornings, I would say. And he was, everyone was half asleep. I always woke up with energy, but by the time everyone had energy, I was low energy because I was tired. Crazy how that works. But something that makes me smile is probably the night hike in Tirimbina, and how I was like crying because of how many spiders Jaden and Brent kept pointing out to me. That was not okay, but it was so funny. Like after that, I think about it, I'm like, it was so scary, but I was having a good time. But yeah, I really miss you guys. I want to have a meal again. I miss having meals with everyone. I was like, yeah, that's all. I'll pass it on to Emily.
Hello, I'm Emily. I'm taking a gap year, but I'm gonna go to Santa Rosa Junior College next year. Something that makes me smile, as Ari was saying too, like there's a lot of things, so it's hard to pick just one, but one of the coolest things I think was when we were releasing the baby turtles. We had like the containers, and we were like just walking in the dark down the shore, and then we like picked them out and we released them, and it was just so cool. And it was so cool to just hold these little baby turtles and feel them squirming around. So yeah, that makes me smile. That was just like a once in a lifetime type thing. So I'm really grateful I got to experience that, and I miss you guys. I'm calling on Jimena.
Hi, I'm Jimena. I go to the Santa Rosa Junior College. I think something that really makes me smile is just going back to the conversations we had during our meals, the way we would laugh so hard until we cried. I love that so much. I'm gonna call on Yahida.
My name is Yahida. I'll be attending UCSB. I'll be moving on the 18th. So for me, moment that makes me smile will be any lunch or dinner time. We will always be laughing and just having the best time of our lives. Like not having any distractions, our phones or anything. Like the only thing to do was to talk to each other, and it was incredible, honestly. And I pass it on to Olivia.
My name is Olivia. I'm currently at University of Pacific, majoring in biology. And a moment that made me smile was the fact that I was making everybody laugh with my facial expressions. I didn't know I was that funny with them. And the dinners were just amazing. We're connecting with one another, and just, it was great. The laughter, everything. And the zip lining. That was the second time I did zip lining, and I feel like that experience was better than the first one. So yeah, I'll pass it on. I think Camila has to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything from the trip makes me smile. Like everything was just, you guys were all so great and so funny. Like I remember Nick taught me how to play some game called Exploding Kittens, which was super interesting. And every time I see the word phenomenal, I just start dying inside, like for real. Yeah, Olivia, like your facial expressions are really funny, and you were just so funny. Like you were so cool. Yeah, I don't know, like little things like that like make me happy, and I just like miss all of you guys so much. Yeah, definitely like the meals too, like having meals together. I didn't appreciate that as much until like we stopped having meals together. I was like, yeah. So I'm gonna pass on to Stephanie now.
Hi, everybody. Um, Something that makes me smile. I miss all of you so much. My name is Stephanie, and I was a co-leader with Brent. I'm a teacher at Sequoia High School in Redwood City, California. And I know that we're supposed to think of something that made us smile, like on the trip, but it's kind of like on the trip and now. There was a lightness to this group. You had all come out of something really heavy. The lockdown was really rough. And I really love to be able to film you guys and take photos and see you smile. Well, smize because we had masks on. And the conversation, at the beginning, it's everybody doesn't know each other, but everybody was like very light and free and excited to be together. And by the end, it was like you had all known each other for so long. And as a teacher who is teaching behind a mask, and I have a bunch of students who are trapped behind desks right now, it's pretty heavy. It doesn't feel the same. And it makes me ache for our trip and that like really special experience that we had all together. So thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for going on the trip. Thank you for sticking with it. And thank you for giving your all. That makes me smile every day. So, and I miss you guys.
Beautifully said, Stephanie, as normal. And that, if you haven't noticed, Live Like Leo is all about travel, right? Leo's life, he was able to travel a lot. And then our guest speaker is someone that is connected with the family through their travel experiences as well. So I think that's something that hopefully this experience, even though it was only 9 days, is something that's going to stay with you, and you're going to have these connections kind of live with you throughout your entire life. So it's just neat to see. Mike, I want to pass it back to you, unless you or Dinasha have any kind of questions for the group or anything that you want to hear before I pass it over to you.
Thanks, Baker. But I do want to say that, listening to all of the students talk, listening to all of you talk, you just embody camaraderie in such a deep way. You don't really need to spend a lot of time trying to understand that, because you're living it. The way that you've, included each other, and the authenticity of the way you've discussed and talked about each other, the terms you've used like vulnerability, the sensitive nature that you have with each other is pretty powerful stuff. So, continue to keep that going for the rest of your life in all circles that you travel, because what you've learned here and how you've operated is gonna pay dividends for you down the road. So it's just incredible to listen to all of you talk about your experience. And that's why Dinasha and myself and this foundation, we're doing what we're doing is to give that opportunity. So just a sweet group. So let's go to our guest speaker. He's a friend of the family. He's a friend of mine. Him and I met in Tokyo, Japan, of all places, and our trajectory and our story and how we got there is incredible. But his is really incredible. He's David. Go ahead, take it away. Introduce yourself, and let's go. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mike and Dinasha. Global Glimpse of like Leo Foundation. You can really feel the energy with everyone in here. Like it seriously is intoxicating. And this is what you guys set out to do in the foundation, and it's just beautiful. So, me, Mike, Dinasha, and I, we met in Tokyo in 2011. I think Dinasha and my wife Shannon met at a prenatal yoga class, like somewhere in the middle of Manataku, Tokyo, which is like right in the center of Tokyo. And like, we just kind of became family. And I can see it with the kids now. You have this love. And I think, when you go abroad, you feel it more than you do just going through your regular life, this was the moment that I met Leo, and, his spark was just amazing, and it was infectious. And, you're seeing that spark go through this foundation and through your guys' experience. It's fueling this amazing foundation and changing your lives. And I think you really got to feel that, you said it right, that spirit's in there and you can feel it. And I'm just like overwhelmed. And it really is amazing. An honor to speak and talk about my story. As a kid, I moved all over the country. My father was trying to climb the corporate ladder. We spent time in Belgium, California, and then settled in Mercer Island, Washington. But it's funny, I was always proud to be, I lived in Belgium for 3 years. It's like the coolest thing. It's like, it's like my fun fact whenever someone asks me, what did you, what's special about you? I lived in Belgium. And I remember living in Belgium. It was like, I was 2 or, 2 to 5. And everyone's like, do you speak a different language? Like, no, but I lived there. And I just thought it was it's unique. It's unique and different. And it made me stand out. And that was kind of like my first story of travel. I lived there. How cool was that? And I'd like try to flex like it was cool. But, it's different. It's unique. It's fun to talk about. But kind of, growing up, my father was our hero, right? He was, the first man in his family to go to college, the first Black executive at Levi Strauss. He was in the South during the 50s. He'd always tell me the story. He moved to San Francisco. So I see a lot of UC Berkeley students. My father went to UC Berkeley for his undergrad and master's. So I think it's, but I revel with the kind of man he was and the inspiration for our family. But as a kid, sports were my life. And Mike alluded to me being a football player, competing with friends and siblings, everything I wanted to do. That was my goal on life, was just to play sport. And, as a sixth grader, I started playing football for the first time and just dominated. It was like putting up crazy numbers, 300 yards, 3 TDs, a true passion. And, I crushed a little bit, but I was hooked. I loved it. As a high school freshman, I was on varsity. As a sophomore, I was being recruited. As a junior, was kind of like my first big choice in life. And that was to decide to leave home, to go to college, to leave the state of Washington, to go to a new place. And yes, it's Los Angeles. It doesn't seem like a foreign country, but it was new to me. And you think, and you're probably like, Dave, going to play football at SC is not that daunting, but it is as a young person. Making that choice is so hard. It's not far, but it's still foreign. I didn't know one person in Los Angeles, didn't know any teammates, but I was curious. I was curious about a new city. I had the courage to take that chance and to move and play at USC. USC was, perennial running back school, great business school. So it was something that I really wanted to do. But my time started off challenging. Like I'm sure a lot of you freshmen are like, man, is this the right decision? The first day I got onto campus, into camp, they moved my position. So I was a running back growing up, carried the ball. The first day I walk on to the field, they're like, you're changing position. So I'm like, oh, geez, what did I do? Now I'm a fullback. And for you football fans, a fullback, no one chooses to be a fullback. Either you're too fat or too slow to be a tailback, so they move you to fullback. So it was one of those humbling moments, and you're like, did I choose the right thing? And it's a camaraderie with the team, right? And I didn't want to leave my brothers on the field. My coach was Pete Carroll, who's a Seahawks coach now, and he inspired us to kind of work together, and you're going through this journey together. Sports is an interesting business. If you're a doctor, no one taps you on the shoulder after 10 years being a doctor and says, hey, buddy, you can't be a doctor anymore, so go find something else. For an athlete, it's like it's everything to you, and then all of a sudden it's gone. In the search for a new career, I was presented a chance to go to Tokyo. And I wasn't sure what industry. I liked finance, and that was kind of the route I was going to go. But what really drove me to say yes, to take a new job and a new career, was the fact that I was going abroad. And, in college, especially if you play sports, you don't get a chance to study abroad. Yes, maybe you travel on spring break if you can afford it, but you don't go abroad. So it was such a unique opportunity for me to go and just start something new. And it's like, leave football behind me, and I'm going abroad, and we had this amazing experience. But it's hard to change, right? And I feel like football was one life, and Tokyo was another life. And we spent 7 years in Japan, and going to Japan I was nervous going to Japan. Like this, it's overwhelming. And I remember I wouldn't go to any restaurant that didn't have pictures on the menu. So I was like, I don't speak the language, and nobody speaks English in Japan. Nobody. There's no English sign, so it's like I'll just have that, and I point, my go-to order was like tori, karage, and namabiru, which is basically fried chicken and draft beer. And that's all I ate and drank for like, I don't know, 2 months. It's the culture change, right? And I think for me, it's the little things, the bowing, the crossing the street. If you jaywalk, you will be arrested. It's just these little things you pay attention to when you're in a new culture that really let you observe it, right? But during our time in Tokyo, it was a lot of ups and downs too. It wasn't all gravy. We went through the Tohoku earthquake, the Great Japan earthquake. It was a 9.2, I think, largest in recorded history. With the impending Fukushima disaster, and everyone, my friends, were fleeing Japan. And another scary moment where, as a culture, as a Japanese culture, no one's fleeing, no one's like running around. But here we are, the expats, like, oh, we're leaving. The nuclear power is going to get into the food, and we got to go. And it's like, here we're running around with our heads cut off, and Japanese are going to work and just like living life. So it's just like one of those things that you realize, like, you aren't actually from here. It is a totally different experience. But we had 2 kids in a Japanese hospital, not speaking really any Japanese, which was stressful as well. I remember always tell the story. It's like, my wife's in labor, and the heartbeat's going up and down, and the doctor's like giving hand signals. And we're like, what is happening? We don't know anything. And it's like, can you bring the translator in? But like, you never forget those moments, right? You never forget the people you're around. I look back on our experience. I think about, yes, we're abroad, right? Think about observation, observing the Japanese culture, observing like a culture of respect and honor, the curiosity. Like, you can't move into a different country and not be curious. Sure, you can sit in your bubble and your foreign bubble, but if you're not curious, you won't have any experience. And we traveled all over Asia. Compassion, I think the compassion and empathy is core characteristic of a world traveler, right? Like, no 2 places are the same. One thing I realized when I went to Japan is like, America's an interesting place as far as like how you're categorized as a person. No one in Japan, and even my Australia friends and British friends, like, no one called me like the black guy, right? I was the American. That's who I was. I was American. And there's the Aussies, there's the Brits, there's people from Hong Kong, and like, that's who we were. And we're not like this subculture. We're just an American citizen, and that's how they viewed us. So I thought that was such an interesting thing. Just like, you never just say yourself, I'm an American. People ask me, because I'm mixed, like, what are you? What nationality are you? I'm like, well, nationality, 1, an American. 2, it's like, yeah, I'm mixed black, but I'm actually going to Costa Rica in November with friends we met in Tokyo that we've kept in contact with all these years. And it's been 5 years since I was there, and we're still, it's the hot topic of the dinner conversations, what we did on our abroad trip. No, it's funny because, Mike and Dinasha ended up moving to Singapore, and we moved to New York, and just randomly I had business in Singapore, just walking around. It's funny the connections you make, and I turn around and there's Dinasha behind me in Singapore. I don't think I even told you I was in town. It's just like randomly in Singapore, seeing Dinasha while I'm like at a business meeting, and like, it's one of those things, the bond, it's like a special thing, but not everyone gets to travel abroad, and luckily you guys did. And I think about my time at USC, and does that pass the live like Leo, like, value check, right? Do I pass the values of me going to USC? And that's part of like this adventure that you had. And it really did. And I think about like the observation of the team, observation of our goals, curiosity, like a new part of the country, new cultures, new people, because not everyone's from the same place. Compassion for your teammates, global citizen. I'd say, yeah, I mean, you're in a team with 100 guys, that are all walks of life in a locker room. You have to be a cultured person, or you're just going to be like the outcast. The camaraderie with brothers in arms, like a team, courage, adventure, all of it. So, I'd say it's not just the abroad experience, because not everyone gets to do that, but it's about that choice to do something different, something unique. And those are always going to be hard choices, right? Whether it's like choosing a partner or going to school out of the town, living abroad. I mean, those are all big moments that you're going to have to make a decision to. And it's like, is it going to pass the live like Leo sniff test? It's like, that's how I'm thinking. Am I going to look back and have all these values and like, yes, I knocked all 7 of those out in this experience. And granted, going abroad is some of it was the best time of my life. And seeing you guys and the energy you have and the love I'm feeling in the room, it just makes me smile, right? And congratulations to those who took the opportunity to go to Costa Rica, get out of your comfort zone. I feel like my life's been impacted by travel. And you guys, you think you're gonna remember this when you're 80 years old, that time you went to Costa Rica. I guarantee it. So I applaud you guys for having the courage to do something like this, because it already changed your life, and I can see that. But I applaud also Dinasha and Mike and your courage in giving these young kids an opportunity to live like Leo would, right? It's inspiring, and I'm honored to be a part of it. And thank you. Like, for me, just being able to talk to you guys is great. Like, to get to be a part of this, even though I didn't do anything and just up here talking. But I want to thank everyone for listening to the story. If you guys want to ask questions.
Hey, David. Yeah, I hope there's some questions, but you said something extremely impactful, which is, your experience in Tokyo and all the things that happened to you is the greatest time of your life. That's a pretty serious statement from a guy who's reached some significant pinnacles in his life in sports, in college athletics, and in, the National Football League. So to say that, I think speaks to everything Global Glimpse and Live Like Leo is about. So super cool statement, man. Really powerful.
Yeah, and I'd say, you think America's a wonderful place. There's no doubt about that. But the world is huge, and there's a lot of amazing places out there. So I tell all the young people that I work with, like, if you get a chance to get a job abroad, like, do it. One, for the experience. Two, it'll propel you in your career. It'll always be different. And people want people from different backgrounds, different experiences. Nobody wants the same type of person. So that's always been my advice for folks, to get abroad. And it propelled me to a great career and a great life, just because, not everyone has the courage to go abroad and experience things. And those that do get rewarded.
Listen, everyone, just an incredible event. The way that all the individuals that participated today shared and were vulnerable is incredible, and it's what gives us the fuel to continue this partnership and continue the good work we're doing collectively as partners, Global Glimpse and Live Like Leo. This is really a team effort. This is really two great groups working hard to provide an experience. To all the students, I wish you all the best of luck in all your adventures, where if it's through education, or if it's through art, or if it's through community, or whatever it is that it is. I wish you the best luck. And with that said, Brent, you did an awesome job on your part, man. Kept the energy really high. Global Glimpse, all the students, I wish you the best of luck.